we go. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 19, How to Become a Sales Warrior. I am your host, Eddie Pods, with my co-host, Ty White.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have a very special guest in studio who's going to join us for the whole show, Robbi Kirsic. Say hello, Robbi.
Thank you for having me.
Where are you from?
New York City.
And what's the name of your company?
Timeline Renovations.
And what do you do?
I'm a general contractor, design, build, renovation firm.
All right. Do you know why we're here today?
I think I do.
We are here today to help a younger generation get to the finish line a little faster when it comes to being successful. You know what it's like to start out building your own business and how many years it took you to reach success. And you know what success means. Success is not just the money, but you know when you arrive. It took me 20 years to arrive, and that's 20 years too long. So when I wrote this book, the idea was, how could I help a younger generation of men and women in the sales field cut down on that 20 years? And I wrote the book, and the idea behind the book is to teach shortcuts that really are really effective and what's helped projected me to success. This is one of my students, my most active student. We work together hand in hand, and how's it been for you so far?
It's been great, man. It's been great. I've learned a lot, man, just from sitting next to him. Besides the things that he takes the time out to teach me, just being able to watch him in action is a lesson in itself, you know? So it's been awesome. It's been an awesome ride, man. It's been almost 2 years now, right?
Yep. So today's chapter, we're going to chapter number 10, and Robbi let it be known that he did not read the book. Another guest who did not read the book.
Put him on the spot.
There's 19 of them. None of them have read the book. It's okay.
No comment.
So, Ty pointed out that I did associations last week, but I never know who my next guest is going to be. And I chose associations because that's where I met you.
Absolutely.
I met you at an organization called NARI, National Association of Remodelers Industry. And one of the things that I learned about being part of that organization was get involved. And, there are different levels of getting involved, but like you and myself, getting involved isn't just being a wallflower going along doing what everybody else is doing. It's stepping up, volunteering your time, whatever the cause is, whether it's the golf outing, the trade show, whatever it is, really embracing it to get the most out of it. And the most out of it becomes your reputation, what kind of man you are, what kind of business you run, how you do things, and then you start seeing people follow you. And I don't mean in a oh, he's God. No, follow you in, I want to do stuff like that too. I want to motivate new people in the organization to step up, join the membership committee, join the golf committee, be part of it. And not just, showing up for one meeting. I mean, from being part of the NARI organization, our biggest problem was retention, maintaining the membership. Because a guy joined and he showed up for 2 dinner meetings, and he thought the business would just come flying in.
Doesn't work that way.
How does it work?
How it works is, excuse me, it's just that. It's being around. And for the people that join an association thinking that they attend one dinner meeting, that all the business is going to come in, it's not about that. It's about trust and building trust in order to determine that, okay, I'm confident enough to give you some work. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I mean, most people that are in business have developed relationships with their trade partners and subcontractors. So to kind of get in there, like, hey, I do painting, I'm a painting subcontractor, it's going to be really hard to gain the trust of a general contractor to give you painting work after you've met in 1 week if you've had a relationship. So it takes time to build them. And that's what it comes down to as far as actively being involved as long as you possibly can, and little by little it grows and builds.
I tell the story in the book of how I became known as Eddie Pods. And the reality of it is my senior VPs in Florida call me by Eddie Pods. Like, that's who I am. And it was NARI. It was going to my second dinner and getting to the bar. And I can't remember the 3 men. I think Hogan was one of them. But there were 3 men at the bar. And I walked in. There was nobody else there. And they did the norm cheer to me. They're like, Eddie Pods is here. And it was like, I felt welcome. I felt this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be part of this organization. And I was there 12 years.
Yeah.
12 years. Served on the board for 8 of those 12 years. And I have 2 proud accomplishments. One's mine and one's yours.
Sure.
My proudest accomplishment was doing the chairperson of the trade show committee.
Oh, absolutely.
And running that show and remembering sitting in the ballroom when it was all folding down and everybody was leaving. My kids had already left and all the vendors are leaving. And I sat on a chair in the middle of the ballroom drinking a beer. Holy shit, I did it. Holy shit, I did it. Like,
But an accomplishment, right?
it was huge.
And there's a lot of work to get that trade show to get together.
Yeah.
A lot of work and a lot of months of planning and preparation.
9
I mean,
months.
Yeah.
No, it's a 9-month project. You got to be committed. You got to be ready. But that was my personal accomplishment. My second one, this guy, running for he bypassed local because the local presidents were entrenched and there was a long line. You went the national route.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a very interesting question.
I know.
And still to this day, I'm still trying to figure it out because it's not the normal path. Normally,
Right.
you would essentially go up the ladder within your local chapter, serve as president there, and then you go up to national. But, reading the bylaws, I figured that's not really the case. You don't have to actually do that. And I've normally been insubordinate most of my life. I try to make my own rules as
Mix
I go.
things up a little bit.
And I said, why do I have to follow that path? And as far as not to say one is better than the other, because I'm not doing a comparison thing, but based on what I wanted to achieve in my career, I felt that was the best approach for what I needed to do and what experience I was going to get. And whether that was the right decision, I don't know, because I never served as local president. But I that was a dream, and I was probably going to do that afterwards. But it was just a really difficult decision to make. But you do remember, I was serving as local
Secretary, yeah.
and national secretary at the same time.
Yes, you were.
And essentially, I would have been moving up the ranks in both positions.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, I literally would have been serving as national president and local president at the same time. There's no way to do
I
that.
remember that. I do.
There's no way to do that. That would have been more for ego than actually serving our membership properly
Yeah.
in order to be a president for one at the same time, because both of them are extreme amount of involvement. To serving as a local president of any association is a lot of work.
Oh yeah, I've been to a couple of the Libby trade shows, and like that stuff is just huge. It's a big to do. And who's the president? Who was the president over there?
I know Sal was.
Ted.
No, he was from the chamber.
That's okay.
Wrong organization.
Yeah. But even with him though, just seeing like the amount of stress and them going around making sure everything is going right. It's a lot of work. Man.
Yeah, I mean, you have your set calendar for the month, so you know your executive committee liaison meetings, your board meetings, your executive committee meetings. It's kind of scheduled, right? So your month is pretty good, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in between those days. You get a random email, you get this, and there's a lot of communication. So it's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a full-time job running it.
So the action statement for my book, for that chapter of associations, you read it.
Get involved, be a source of positivity, and be a go-giver.
I hated being around.
I'm sorry. Read that again.
Get involved, be a source of positivity, and be a go-giver.
I felt for myself those last two parts, the positivity and go-giver.
That's why I had you repeat it.
Because
That go-giver part is actually, it's a very.
I remember
powerful
my
word.
wife saying to me when I came home, I said, I was on the trade show committee, the golf committee, and I came home. I said, Dawn wrote me into being on the membership committee. She's like, is there a committee you don't want to be part of? It's like, I have the flexibility with my job to be able to be part of it. And that's why I did. That's why I chose to do it.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so many different committees and you can learn so much from each committee that it's just it's kind of valuable for your own personal growth to be involved with,
Oh, yeah.
with multiple ones. Some of the most powerful ones when we did community service.
Yeah.
Those community service projects those are probably one of the most memorable experiences, to go there on a Saturday, Sunday. We have however many of us, 30, 50 of us go there and all collectively work together. So we're all associates. We'd share our dinner meetings together and socialize, but then to actually put your boots on, get a hammer, and build something. Ronald McDonald
Yeah.
house was unfucking believable.
Mm,
That is the most powerful moments of what I in my career, and I hope it is yours, as far as a highlight of what you can do to give back to the community. It's so powerful.
It meant even more to me. One, laying flooring with my wife.
I
It's
remember that.
not something she would ever want to do again. But my 3 daughters, one cleaning up garbage, one getting snacks, one getting waters, all of us being there. But to know 3 months later that a friend of ours' kid was going to be there, and the family was going to be there in and out for the next 5 years, really spoke volumes of what we did there. And at our awards dinner, and I never forget it, your partner, Mr. Lawrence Carolyn, was giving out awards, and he goes, "Can I have Papa Pods come up? And can I get Mama Pods and Baby Pods?" And he called everyone. He had an award for everybody.
Wow.
And it's like, you don't do it for the award, but it meant a lot. It did. All right, we're going to get into networking tips. We all have them. So my networking tip for this week, the more you offer to help, the more connections you'll make. If you're not doing it for the connections, it'll happen organically. So the more people you offer to help him, Erica, whoever it is you're trying to help, I always believe that when you plant that seed, it'll come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Trade show, networking tip?
Networking tip. So I'm a little, I have a little bit of a different approach to this. So it depends on what my tactic is. So I don't ever carry business cards.
Same here.
And I believe that you have to make your presence known, right? And it's about walking into the room, commanding the room, and how are you going to get people's attention without saying a single word?
Sound familiar?
And how are you going to get it to the point where the room is coming to you?
Love it.
So that's like my number one tip in networking. And there's many different ways to go about it, but essentially, you want people to be interested to want to talk to you. Like, what makes you so interested in that I would want to consider one, speaking to you, and the possibility or opportunity of future business. And if you go in there with like no expectations, some of the best things happen.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed. So you just go there. I'm just going there to hang out. And my guarantee is every time I leave a networking event, probably 5 to 10 people of potential new leads.
We're going to jump into trade show tips. You could read that one.
Give your max effort every day. The show is your job.
I've been to too many shows where people think it's a vacation. Out of the office. And
Yeah, right.
They're doing everything but what they should be
That's the
doing.
worst vacation in the world. There's a lot of work.
It's not a vacation.
A Vegas trade show is not a vacation.
I did one this year.
Oh my
I was
God.
there for 5 days.
Oh yeah.
It was work. It
Yeah.
was all work. But I gave max effort every day. Every day.
You have to.
Why waste the money if you're not going to make the most of it?
I've been to the NKBA K-Biz
That's where I
in
was.
Vegas, I think 10 years
Did
in
you
a
go
row.
last year?
Every year I go.
Oh, I didn't know you were there.
I'm there every year.
Son of a bitch.
Every
What
year.
up?
Every year I'm there. I saw our New York boys there.
Did you?
Yeah, at the after party at Encore on Wednesday night. Dean was there and Jason was there, so I saw a bunch of people there.
I had spoken to Dean, but he said he was wrapped up in his shit and we couldn't get together, which was fine. Remember Rob Baskin?
Yeah.
We hooked up.
Oh, okay.
Me, him, his friend went and did a $1,000 dinner at the Blue Fountain.
Yeah, but the trade shows are a lot of work to be there, and essentially, and again, it's one of those things. You're in a massive location, massive venue. There's vendors everywhere. How do you make your presence known for people to come to you?
Yeah.
And it's
hard.
it's very difficult.
It was in 4 buildings.
Yeah, oh
It
yeah.
was in 4 buildings. And I was in the furthest away building, at the furthest row, and the last booth. Yeah, it was challenging. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and do an old-fashioned time. Let's go. Break time. All right, welcome back, everybody, to How to Become a Sales Warrior. We are on episode 19, co-host Ty White.
How you doing, everybody?
And our special guest, Robbi Kirsic. We are doing old-fashioned time. He doesn't know what old-fashioned time, so why don't you tell us what it is?
So old-fashioned time, which is my favorite time. It is it's a drink that me and Eddie met over at a networking event, coincidentally. And we sat down and just realized that we both had a lot to offer each other and could really come up with something that worked. I own a moving junk removal company, and for what he does with pods, and I was able to help some of his clients. And then from then on, we just developed this relationship that he was a tequila guy that ended up coming over to bourbon because I'm a bourbon guy, and we always have an old-fashioned and a new-fashioned way of doing business that works, and that kind of defines our relationship.
That's
so
brilliant.
That's why we do old-fashioned time every week, and we talk about something old, something new, or just a topic of something. And so today, I see you.
Well, why don't we just jump here first? Because you asked to add
Okay.
a new set. You asked
Okay.
to add a new
Yeah,
segment.
yeah.
You wanted to bring something else into our podcast. So today is the first day. Today's question is my best sports story from the weekend. So I'll go first, as I always do. The Giants won.
Very good.
The first win of the year. They didn't give it away. They played great. It made my Sunday afternoon. I was working in the office for the whole game. So I was actually working and playing and having fun. And I walked at 4 o'clock. I walked upstairs. I'm like, the Giants won. And Maria, she's like, oh, that's great. But it made my day.
Yeah. So I the other day didn't even realize football was on. It was during the week. I turned on the Jet game and Aaron Rodgers was playing again.
Aaron freaking Rodgers.
I was like, "Are you serious? Why wasn't there a big announcement?" But I haven't
There
been
was.
watching. I haven't been watching a lot of ESPN. So, but I looked. I was just like, "Wow, the Jets actually might do something this
Yeah.
year, huh?"
Yeah, it's a good possibility.
Pretty cool.
What about you? Any sports from the weekend?
Oh yeah. So I'm a soccer
Yes,
I'm a soccer fan, and so just as the New York has, let's say, Yankees versus Mets rivalry, Giants versus Jets, I'm an AC Milan supporter for soccer. So Milan, Italy had their derby, Inter Milan versus AC Milan yesterday, and my Milan won 2-1.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
all good stories today. Yeah.
All good stories.
Excellent. So the old and new, I'm going to let you take it, but I think it's appropriate.
Yeah. No, I want you to take it because
All right.
you wrote it down.
So sports betting. When I was a kid,
Mhm.
we had that one degenerate in the class who knew a bookie.
Yeah.
And he'd walk around with the football sheets and $1 a pick. Hand your sheet in, hand your money in. That's how you bet on football when I was a kid. How we doing it today?
DraftKings, Sportsbook, and
FanDuel,
FanDuel.
on your phone, no bookie involved,
No bookie.
legally.
Legally.
It just doesn't seem that much fun.
And when you go on there, you realize you can bet on anything. Like the most trivial game that's going on. It's like anything.
You can
anything.
vote. You can over and under on touchdowns. Are they going to score on the next play? Like
You could bet on what color Gatorade they're gonna dump on the coach at the Super Bowl, or at the
Yeah.
championship game. They're like, "Oh, what color Gatorade is it gonna be? Purple or green?" You could bet on stuff like that.
So. Let's cheers to the old and new
Old and new.
because it
Cheers.
all still works. Because bookies are still.
Yeah,
in
I remember
business.
those bookie days, man.
Wait, you can't.
I had a friend with the
I'm sorry,
bookie.
you got to do it again. You can't put it down. You got to drink
You
first.
gotta- There you go.
See, I don't have enough whiskey in mine. So we're gonna get into a couple of little things before I give you a quick interview. Best business decision that you made this past week. I always go first. Inviting my new boss to Tequila Tuesday.
That was a good
So
turn.
you were there. I know you couldn't make it, but I have that party every year. This year was more diverse, had different groups of people there than in the past, and there was the most people. There was 60 different businesses there, and most of the people in my company hide from the bosses, where I shine and say, "Come see me, come hang out with me," and he literally was blown away. The setting in my backyard, the musician, the food, everything organized, everything detailed. Had a few minutes of speech time. We had a sponsor, his company, and he said to me the next day, he goes, "I didn't know what to expect, but that was pretty freaking amazing." So that was my best business decision of the week. What was yours?
Mine was being a sponsor for that event and then deciding to bartend that event. So when it was time for me to come out and do my, 5-minute spiel, everyone's already cheering and clapping. They're like, wait, that's the sponsor? The guy's been giving us drinks all night? I'm like, yep.
Getting
that's
you
me.
hammered.
Yeah.
And you're a bartender
Yeah.
as well?
I decided to do it for fun.
For fun, okay.
I make good drinks, so anytime we have a get together, we have a party, people come to my house, I go to their house, everyone's like, you're making the drinks, right?
Okay.
So I used to bartend a long time ago.
Your best business decision of the week?
My best decision of the week. So we are in the business of yes, ma'am, yes, sir, right? But that's sometimes the most catastrophic mistake that you can make.
I can
And
do
so
everything.
I've learned to say no. And
Yeah.
so the best business decision I made this week was telling a client, sorry, no, I'm not comfortable with doing this specific project, and I'll find somebody else, but it's not something that my company can handle. And in most cases, I just say yes to everything. Yes, we could do this. Yes, we do this. Yes, 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 yes.
He's looking
And it's
right
always
at me.
yes,
Look
yes,
at
yes,
this guy
yes,
over
yes,
here.
yes, yes, yes.
Can we
yes.
do it on Monday? Yes.
Yes.
But we have a podcast on Monday. Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
We just
yes.
do it. Yeah, it's always yes, and
Yeah.
that's the business that we're in, and that's why we're in business. And even if you don't know how to do, you figure it out. But this was way beyond my comfort zone,
Yeah.
and it's been stressing me out as far as the project itself. It's been extremely stressing me out for quite some time now, and just had a wonderful conversation with the client, and just said, "Can't do it."
Awesome. Love that.
He told me that when I first started my business, I was doing a little bit of everything. So anytime I seen a need or anything, I was like, I'll get it done. I can get it done. I can do it for you. And it's like, it's like hone in on what you do and be great at that, because then, you spread yourself too thin with all of these things, and you're not a
Professional
you're not
painter. You're not a professional
painter. I'm not a I have guys. I know I can do things like that, but it's like stick to what you do and become great at that.
Yep.
Big win of the week. Big win of the week came in the aid of fixing a client in Texas who I didn't know anything about, but someone in corporate thought enough of me to say, Eddie can fix this problem. Called the client up. Turned out the problem was we had fired most of our staff, and there was no one taking care of this customer. And I went to my boss and said, I think I should take care of this. And he's like, do we really need you taking care of a small account like this? And I said, they have 25 orders in this year. That's not a small account. Oh, I didn't realize. So I called the customer, had a one-on-one with them, set up the tone for what I need to service them better, told them what I needed. You want this to work? This is what I need. I can make this happen. This is what we got to do. That was on September 2nd. They've already placed 8 orders since. They're a remodeling company that have 4 locations across Texas. But to me, that's just a big win. Taking customers ready to leave, quit, go to Pack Rat, go to our competitors, and reeling them back in, and then giving them what you told them you were going to do. So that was my big
What are you
win.
doing closing deals in Texas? That ain't your
Hey,
area.
man, I'm all over now. I'm all over now. Your big win?
My big win is it finished an 8-month-long project on Thursday last week
Where was it?
on the Upper West Side on Amsterdam Avenue.
Nice.
Apartment? Condo?
Apartment, yeah,
How many bedroom?
4.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 bedrooms.
Were
5
they
bathrooms.
living in it while you did it or no?
Well, but the full renovation was before they moved in, and then they moved in like April. But then it's been like a never-ending punch list of like just adding some stuff and things that we're waiting on. But Thursday of last week was like the last, like, it's done,
And you got the check?
and it's done,
All right.
and it's done. And now you just hope that they're going to add more work now.
There you go. There you
And
go.
the relationship continues.
Yeah.
So, best new connection of the week. This is an old friend, new friend kind of thing for me. So every year, my company and I, we donate containers to the New York City Wine and Food Festival.
Mhm.
In exchange for that donation, we barter tickets to all the events. So whatever I would have charged them, they give me that value back in tickets. And when you work with someone year after year after year, it just becomes just so easy. Eddie, send me the invoice. Oh, by the way, I want one extra container this year. All I'm thinking is that means extra tickets. I'm not even caring about the expense for the company. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I had almost $6,000 in tickets in barter that I just got all the tickets today. So
That's amazing.
it's, a relationship that I've nurtured and they depend on us. But, that connection that you make with people, and if you only deal with them once a year, it's got to be strong, because anything can happen between last year and this year where they go somewhere else, find something better. But if they love you, or they love how you do business, or they know they can count on you, and it's 10 years running now. This is our 10th year doing it. It makes me feel good that I have those kind of connections.
That's great.
Your best new connection?
I think traveling over this weekend, I made an interesting connection on the plane.
Where'd you go?
I was down in Baltimore. I was too lazy to drive.
That's not far.
No, 36-minute flight. I was just too lazy to drive, honestly, if you're asking me. Just made an interesting connection, and they're looking for a contractor in Manhattan. I said, that's perfect.
I was flying out to Texas for team meetings back in April, and just walking next to a guy as we're boarding the plane. I look at his T-shirt and I saw Asian. That's all I could see.
Mm.
And then he moved and restoration. Bing, bing, bing. Hello, how are you? Good to know you. Well, I'm Eddie, blah, blah, blah. By the time we got in the plane, he handed me his business card and he's like, I'll call you next week. I got a project. Like, it's fucking magic. All right, here comes the hard part. Now comes the real interview. What's the name of your company?
Timeline Renovations.
How long are you in business?
16 years.
Wow.
So my first question, what event in your life led you to become a contractor? It was something.
Well, it was actually a fluke accident, the whole thing of me getting in, even in the construction renovation industry. So I've been a musician my whole life. And so
What do you play?
I'm a bass player.
Nice. I play piano.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We'll jam later.
Yeah. And I always say, like, every rock star needs a day job.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't touring, I was home. And a friend of mine that I knew, he's like, hey, you need a job. And I said, fine, sure. And so essentially I started as a laborer, sweeping job sites, pumping sheetrock, bringing in deliveries,
Mhm.
staying late. And that's really it. And I never stopped after that. And in 2008, I had to make a decision. It's either continue chasing a career. Continue chasing a dream, or start a career. And that's essentially where it was like the road. I had to make that
The
decision.
rubber meets the road.
Yeah,
I was there
and
too.
I never looked back.
Yeah, same thing happened for me, and it happened fast because once I switched from, because I've worked in different studios, I produced on albums and things like that, but that money's very few and far between. And then all of a sudden, I went into being a professional, and it was like, oh, money was coming in fast, and problems started going away, and it was like, all right, it's not that hard to realize what I should be doing, but keeping that dream alive is not always a bad thing, and people always remind you of that no matter what.
Yeah,
They're
and
like, don't forget it, you know. But
I'm with you, and I still do. I still write,
It
and I
has to
still
be a
perform.
happy-
But it's not one of those where I need to be doing music in order for it to be a career and my source of income. That's not how I look at it anymore. Now it's just passion.
Don't you feel now that you're helping people in a better way rather than... With music, I felt a little more selfish than I do now in service.
Plus,
You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, even though, you're giving people great stuff to listen to, but I feel like I'm helping people in a bigger way now than promoting myself or, what I mean?
I'm gonna just challenge you to not compare it.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Because they're two
Enjoy
different
both.
experiences. Because a few weeks ago, I wound up going to a show, and I haven't seen this band play in a while. And I had some random person just come up to me, and he's like, I've been following you for years. Your music changed my life, and you're probably the reason why I'm still alive.
See things like, you can't measure that.
So
Yeah.
that's where, like, just kind of like just thought about, like, they're both really, really important, but they're two different things on what it is. And that's my only suggestion. Don't compare the two. Like, each one of them has its own
Nice.
beauty and value and how much impact you can have.
Yeah. Who in the contracting industry did you look up to the most? Like, coming up, who inspired you?
So I'll just give you, I don't want to make it long, but I was actually employed, my 3 bosses while I was coming up in the industry were probably the worst.
Mhm.
They showed me of, like, everything that you're not supposed to
do.
not supposed to do. And I won't list the stories, but it was really difficult as a young kid getting into the business and wondering why all of these problems are happening. And it was the very last company that I worked for, which was the renovated home in Manhattan, and Lee Stahl was my boss. And I still to this day admire him, respect him, and he showed me that there is true beauty, finesse, art in renovations. And to this day, he's still in the top 3, top 5 biggest remodeling contractors in Manhattan. And he is the one that inspired me to show me that of what it can be. That construction is not just construction boots dirty and just walking in and showing up late and not finishing on time. Like there is beauty to it. And he's the reason that I actually started. He's actually the reason why I started my company.
Nice.
Because of that reason.
So when I was growing up in Nary, starting to learn all the men in Nary and women, you weren't out in front as much at the moment, and I got to meet the Doug Dervins and all the older guys who were still writing orders on a napkin and still kind of doing things the way they'd always done it before that word technology came in. So for you, what new technology really changed the industry for you?
Oh, there's so many.
I have one I'm guessing at, but I'm gonna
Look, technology is there to make our lives easier, right? And either you don't use it and you're just whatever, or you have it and you implement it and use it. And so there's a couple of things, like video calls for me, FaceTiming and video calls have been so important to me. And you want to know that I was doing sales calls on video calls way before COVID started.
really.
Way before COVID started. And if there was something that I needed to do or troubleshoot something, I would tell the client, let's do a video call. And like, you don't have to come here and take a look at it. I'm like, no, let's do a video call. I can guarantee you that I will troubleshoot this in 30 seconds. Get me on a video call. Why am I driving an hour to your house?
Yeah.
Spending there 30 seconds for me to troubleshoot and drive back. And it was really strange. People were like, back in 2018 or, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before COVID started, we had video calls and I used to use them all the time. And people are like, why don't you? So video calls for me is one of the biggest technologies that I've implemented for all these years. And now it's normal to do a video call with somebody because after COVID and social distancing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But video calls and sales calls.
So when I think of you and I think of the things that I learned watching you grow your business, I remember when you started to use estimating software. And the older men were like, what the fuck is that? What are you? And like, it just seemed like the right place to go, the right thing to do. You seemed ahead of the curve at the time. Now everyone's using it.
Yeah, I mean,
But 10 years ago, they weren't.
yeah, Buildertrend is probably the biggest project management software in the remodeling industry. They have now grown. I mean, it's crazy, but I was one of their first 100 clients.
I believe that.
And I've been using that since I don't know, 12, 14 years now.
Wow.
And everything of my company runs through Buildertrend. So doing the estimated, submitting the contracts which then become subsequent contracts once they electronically sign it, all the payment schedules there, the actual schedules there, pictures, documents, insurance certificates. There's a whole folder of all the documents that go in there and pictures. So I send pictures daily to all of the clients of the progress that are going on. I send weekly or sometimes daily progress reports of what's going on. Most of my clients don't live in the homes while they're living there. So it's like, trust is one thing, but, I also believe trust but verify, right?
Yes.
So pictures daily to show the client. You can tell the client, oh, you were there today. Were you? How do you know I was there? Here's the pictures, here's the progress. And it's kind of like part of that trust building process. And it's something that they look forward to. When they receive a picture at 6 o'clock every night, they're like, oh my God.
Getting closer and
Yeah,
closer.
they love it. They love it. They love
Yeah.
it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So that software essentially is a transformation for any business. Buildertrend, or there's several others that exist out there that
Buildertrend.
really like put everything in one spot.
It's like a CRM, almost
Yeah.
like a HubSpot type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Or,
But the technology is specifically driven for remodeling.
For remodeling, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I remember asking you about it. I remember talking to you about it because I would be in contractors' offices and no computers, just, a yellow scratch pad and dimensions on a scratch pad. I'm like,
I think I met the Buildertrend guys at the New York Build Expo at the Javits Center. I think
Probably.
they were there doing
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
They're everywhere.
That's why I met them.
They own the
It was
industry
cool.
now.
I saw the software. I was like, wow, it was really cool. Something for Gerardo to use.
ah.
Go ahead. Oh, so I hear you own a hotel?
Oh yes, but that's a different industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I talk about it, man. It's just that's cool for me. I'm
No,
just
it's-
like, what
it's-
got you into the hotel business?
That's a long story, but so my family's from Croatia. And it's probably like, I mean, I've been visiting there since I was a child. My family's from there. Most of my living family is still there. And I've been just kind of going back and forth since I was a child. And
Nice.
since I became an adult, I always wanted to do something there as far
Yeah.
as like business wise. It should have been a small little house for tourism, rented out. And this opportunity presented itself. I mean, but it's a small hotel. It has 10 rooms. And
How's it doing?
it's great. I mean, Croatian tourism is amazing, you know, and it's just really good. But it's just like a side venture that I do, but it was fun, you know, between purchasing the building and designing it and renovating it. It was a lot of fun.
Probably a cool place.
Did you do a restaurant in the Caribbean somewhere?
I did. I had a restaurant in Puerto Rico as well.
That's right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I lost it during Hurricane Maria.
Right.
Yeah.
My wife got all over Hurricane Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a contractor, what is your proudest achievement?
I don't have one proud
Give me two.
I have like I swear to God, it sounds so stupid, but like every day of my life, there's like, you have to be humble and proud of what you are. It's not, I just find like the whole process has just been amazing from the start, from the beginning. And I'll never forget those beginning days. And to this day, I believe in that. I've never said to a client that project is too small. And I believe that there's a lot of people that get to a level of growth within their business, and however much their volume in sales is, they'll say, and I don't want to do that small job. It's too small for me. It's too small. But I believe in client building, client relationships, client for life program, right? So my clients know that I will come there to change a light bulb. Doesn't matter what the nominal size of the project is, because it's not about the project, it's about the relationship. And so many people focus on new lead. I need a new lead. But why not maintain a relationship with the current ones that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And so 99% of my business is referral based. I don't advertise anymore. I don't need to. Like, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't need to. Thank God. Thank God I don't.
God.
So what I always say is that the relationship with my client begins when the project ends.
Yeah.
Maintain.
Not when they sign the contract.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about signing the contract, doing the project, completing it, but the relationship starts at that very last day, and maintaining the relationship with them, because, okay, fine, you finished it, but when they're out for dinner or their colleagues or coworkers, your name is always going to be there. And that's what I always kind of maintain.
That's smart.
You know, on our way here, I was telling him, you know, planting seeds every day, so people remember who you are, what you do, they're comfortable with who you are, and they want to call you back for, like you said, for any project.
Well, the thing is like, if you have a primary health doctor and you have a family doctor, and anybody in your family is sick or not feeling well, you're going to go to the doctor, and your doctor is there for your whole life. Most people are,
Right.
And they take care of the whole family. And I look at myself as their primary doctor, their primary contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that they need within their home, they're not going to Google. They're not
Call
going to
Robbi.
they're not going to go to Google. They're going to go to their contractor. That's who I am. And I mean, I've seen their children raised from they
Yeah.
were born. I built nurseries for my clients before their children were born, and
And-
now their children are teenagers.
And you changed it all around again.
And then we're like, okay, take the nursery, take it into like, you know,
make it into a
teen-
game room
bed.
now.
and
or-
into like, so that's the part of the beauty that you're evolving with the families, and you're watching them grow. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing.
That's awesome.
See, in my business, it's usually, you know, we're doing a big clean out or someone's moving, so it's not so recurring. I do see them come, like maybe the junk removals and things like that.
Yeah.
People clean out every year. They want to get backyards, basements, and stuff cleared out. But I like what you said. The relationship begins when you finish the project, and I'm always so focused on keeping that great relationship during the project. But it really starts at the end of it. What are you going to do at the end? How are you going to stay relevant to them? Are you going to send them a gift basket, you know, or a little
Whatever.
something? You know, whatever. However, whatever your creative way is, that's when it really starts. And I took a lot from that. I took a lot from you saying that. Are you still connected to Nary?
Yes. Well, I'm a past president, and I'm a member for life. So.
I'm sure some of those connections are lifetime connections, man. Like no matter what, just from
Yeah.
and for being the president, so you got like you physically, individually probably touched every person in the association.
44 chapters.
Yeah,
And visited probably all of them, and have met
Thousands.
thousands of people. throughout the country, and it was an amazing experience. And there's a lot of people that we still stay in contact to this day. And if I'm in their town, we make plans, we go for dinner, and you just remain friends for life. I mean, you kind of like people make an impact on you.
Or even if you run across a situation when you're like, all right, I got a guy that does that, you know?
Yeah.
Something that's out of your wheelhouse, you know
No,
what
but
I mean?
that's it. I mean, so all of us have friends. I'll get phone calls when somebody says, "Hey, I'm moving to Texas," for example. "Hey, can you recommend me somebody in Texas?" Sure, I can. You have a recommendation in LA. You have a recommendation in Florida. You have a recommendation in Chicago. So many of my clients call me. So many of my friends call me for recommendations, and that's the perfect way.
You know, it's funny. You talk about Nary, and I grew up in the industry with pods, with Nary, and Rob Baskin is someone who I met in Florida, trade show. I was a sponsor. The first time I did a sponsorship for the lunch hour, and I made such a great impact that after the event, everyone was going to the pool for drinks afterwards, and there I'm sitting with a gaggle of beautiful ladies, some of the fellas, and this guy walks by. I'm like, "Hey, grab a beer. Come on over here." And he like looked at me like I was some big player or something. He didn't know who I was. I'm nobody, but he didn't know that. And he comes over. I traveled 7 cities with him, with Nary, meaning every time there was a Nary, Philly, San Diego, wherever we went, me and him would hook up for a day, bike ride the city, go do something adventurous, get drunk, and do it all again the next day.
Yeah.
Lifelong friend.
Powerful.
Which Nary event stands out to you the most? Is there one that stands out to you the most?
Probably 2. Probably this day.
There you go.
Probably this day. So the day of elections, I really went into that spring meeting with actually zero expectations or any hope that I could ever win that election. I was going against an individual that had 30 years experience, have served on every level of committee, so many different associations. I mean, like the comparison was so stark as far as experience of what I was going up against that I would have voted for them instead of me. But I think that I think people were ready for a change or wanted to see a different outcome of what youth could be in the industry, and I exploited that as much as I could during my presidency.
That's what you do.
Because what my whole 6-year speech was, and every time I went to visit chapters, was youth and remodeling industry. How do we inspire the youth to go into this industry? And I exploited my face as much as I possibly could for every interview, anything that I could ever do. And so, that's one of them. And I think the Kansas City chapter visit was probably one of the most powerful chapter visits ever. Should have been. And actually, that was the very first time I ever spoke. I was a secretary. And
I was not there.
no, I visited their chapter.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just going there to make a speech and a presentation. And I was so nervous. About 5 minutes before I went to go speak, I was in the bathroom throwing up because I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I went and spoke with, there was about 160, 180 people at this lunch meeting.
It's a lot.
And I spoke for like an hour and a half, 45 minutes. Once I got up there, I was like, let's go.
Everything was good, yeah.
They made me so comfortable, so relaxed, and it was probably the most powerful meeting that I ever did there through Nary.
Last 2 questions.
So what is the future of Timeline?
Future of Timeline.
Or make it simple, next 5 years.
I think continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, stay right.
Just continue what we're doing. As far as I've had many people ask me, like, what's the growth? What's the volume of you want to grow the company? I said, this is it, like right here. My vision is not 500 employees. My vision is not 100 million a year. That's not my vision. The second my client becomes an account number, 73528, for me, that's where I think I've lost my personal touch and my connection. And I think for the company of my size, I think people buy me, my personality, and my team more so than the company name. because I can just close my company, start a new name, and there's still
Nobody would know.
they're going to still call this phone number.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I think it's here. I think I'm the happiest I've been ever, like right now, these last 5 years. And I'd love for the next 5 years to be what they've been now. Just focusing on really, really amazing clients, providing the best service, amazing designs, and that's kind of it. But it has nothing to do with the nominal size or gross volume. There's nothing to do with that for me.
Last question is always my favorite. If you could sit down and have dinner with anyone in the history of the world, who would you want to have dinner with?
Oh.
Anyone.
Anybody in history, any part, anything.
Oh, you should have
They're alive.
you should have prepared me for this
Listen,
one.
the last person couldn't even give us an answer. Come on.
So you know what I'm gonna say?
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say Elon Musk.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
That's
just
a
gonna
good
say
one.
That's a good
I'm just
one.
gonna say Elon.
that's a good
I
one.
like that.
because you're thinking future when you're going to sit
Yeah,
down
because
with him.
once you said that, he's the first person that came to my mind. I don't know why.
It's okay.
I don't drive a Tesla.
I don't either.
I don't believe in. Never. Let me keep my mouth shut. But Elon, for some reason, it just was the first person that came to my mind. I believe.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of intellect that comes there and future thinking as far as that's way beyond any human being that lives today that is capable of seeing what the next, not what we were talking about 5 years, we're talking about 50 to 100 years.
200. You know who else is a good person to speak to about some similar things? Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Elon is going to be a little more forward thinking, but Bill Gates is also like he has his finger on what's going on. You know, it's
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you. Reach into the camera, look over there, tell us how we can find you.
TimelineRenovations.com.
That's it. No
That's
phone
it.
number,
No phone number.
no email address.
info@TimelineRenovations.com.
Ty, how can we
Ty
reach you?
thepackpros.com and Ty at thepackpros.com. You can reach me at 631-626-6290.
And I am Eddie Podge, your host. You could reach me at eadelman@pods.com or eddiepods@gmail. Either one will get you there. Thank you all for being here today. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you at episode number 20.
Thank you.
Ho!
Oh,
you.
we're out.